day to Liquid Lunch.
Hey, welcome back. I'm telling you, we have a whopper of a show today. You're not going to believe all the stuff that's happening here. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Beccaro. We're coming to you today from the Question Tequila Studios, as we do every day, noon to 2 Eastern. We're in the Newsmax downtown studios. And yes, my mom is watching. And yes, Mom, I'm still on Broadway. We've done it. And bringing a former New Yorker down to Broadway, Tom Beccaro joins us now. He's a former Long Islander, but he's also now a Californiite, and he's still carrying the Republican mission and message out there. He was chairman of the California Republican State Party, and he's author of this great book right here, The Divided Era. If you haven't heard about it, seen it, go out and get it. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But Tom, first, thank you very much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you. If you want to break into your New York accent for a little while, you're more than welcome
and
to.
Can I rag on the Yankees doing that?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to rag the Yankees, I'm with you. I'm a Met fan, so, you know.
No, I'm a Yankee fan. No excuses. But it's good to be here.
You can't say that in Cali. That's worse than wearing Make America Great Again hat.
No. Almost. How are you?
So, Tom, I'm doing great. This guy was at the head of the leadership in a state where Republicans are like the enemy of the state. So he's fighting for democracy, and his book talks about how we have to fight as people, not as parties, because the more the government apparatus makes decisions for us, the more that creates division for all of us. Give us what's behind. I understand it. It's one of the greatest theorems that I've heard in a long time because it identifies what I call the purple people.
There you go.
And those are the ones in the middle.
So I was asked by a friend years ago why people fight so much in politics. And I always told people, but I decided eventually, now let's do a book about it. And the concept is pretty simple. And first of all, most people want to blame it on whether it's the president on the Democrat side or on the Republican side. They want to blame it on Congress. They want to blame it on money. They want to blame it on ideology. But the truth is that there's so much fighting going on in politics because there's so much money to fight over in politics. And here's what I mean by that. Our governments are going to hand out $8 trillion this year, John. That's $8 trillion.
No matter who's in the White House.
State, city, right. And that creates a huge competition to get that money. Think about it. If they're writing the checks for $8 trillion, someone's collecting those checks, cashing them. So we as Americans switch from being even Republican or Democrat, or we want that money. That competition grows. McDonnell Douglas all the way down to someone who wants help fixing the street out in front of their house. That's number one. Number two, there's a competition to hand it out. Think about it. People love power. There are people who run for office because they love power, right? So there's a competition to hand out the money. That's where the two parties come in. And then, of course, there's the competition to avoid paying taxes. You don't want to be the one who has to pay all the money for those taxes. Now, it's pretty simple and mathematical throughout all of history. As free governments grow, and as their power grows, and the more money, the more decisions they make, that competition grows mathematically. And then when you get to the point where government is so very big, what happens is the parties become very disciplined. And there is no shades of gray or purple as you describe it. Because the Democrats have to vote in line with the Democrats because they want the power, and the Republicans have to vote in line with the Republicans. So as the stakes get higher, the middle in politics tends to disappear, even though much of America would like to see the two parties work together and solve problems.
The parties have there's no incentive for them
to be in the middle.
Because then they have to throw more into the pot to make those of us stuck in the middle by them. They'd have to give us a little bigger piece of the pie, right? And they don't want to give us the pie. They want us to be on a bread line and a cheese line, and everybody gets, a slab of Velveeta and a loaf of white bread once a month or something. That's what they want. Yeah. Bernie Sanders, AOC, the whole new left wing of the party, and the more they drag that vector over there this way, the more people here are paying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Look at Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard says something a little bit about Hillary. She is vilified by Hillary, CNN, because she stepped out of line of the Democrat Party. And then there were those on the right who cheered her in some sense, but they also vilified her for not being enough on the right. Oh, don't get fooled by her. So the minute you step out of line in today's politics, you get hit. And the question is, will there be politicians who can bridge that gap? That's the hard thing to do. That's what I discuss in the book.
Posit a John
Sure.
Tobaccoism to you. Have you ever seen the former Secretary of State, the former leading presidential candidate, who's a woman, who's supposed to be all for women's rights and progressive equality and all this other stuff? Have you ever seen someone of that stature pop up out of the crypt and attack a woman of color, a decorated military veteran, someone who's been serving this country and fighting for this country so ably, at 2% in the polls? Have you ever seen anything like that? You're the chairman of the Republican Party in Cali. You've probably seen a lot of crazy partisanship.
Yeah,
how crazy is that?
And I've studied, this history book I've studied for 40 years. I think it is crazy in this sense. Kelsey got it right. Hillary felt threatened that there was a rising, articulate, good-looking, coming from a different background, and she doesn't want to give up that power. But that's natural to this process. The more powerful the parties become, the harder it is to rise up during those parties. And that's part of the trouble we're facing today. And what the book talks about is, people, if you don't want so much division, stop giving government so much power, because government wields that power, and there's that competition to get the favorable ruling or not get an unfavorable ruling, and that it just makes things worse over time.
You want to hear about something that's happening here in your former home state in New York?
I want you to know I'm here a good deal of time. I'm a Yankee Nick Jet Ranger fan. I haven't lost it.
All right, that's good. When are you going to be back?
I'm coming back every couple of weeks, actually.
How do you feel about the purple studio? I saw you wear your purple tie for me today. Thank you very much. You know what we're talking about here, right? Anytime you want to come back, anytime you have thoughts that support us talking to those people and making them realize that what do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, Lord Acton.
Right? And that's happening.
And the more power you give government, the more it's going to pull people apart, because look, they make decisions on every single thing you do. The clothes you wear, the gas you buy, the light bulbs. Everything you do, government decides what's right or wrong with regard to that, and there's a competition to control those decisions. So a government that does $8 trillion worth of things is going to cause far more division than a government that causes $1 trillion. And the next Democrat president is not going to be liked by the right, because he or she's going to pull the party to the left. And the next Democrat president the next Republican president is not going to be pulled to the left. By the left. It's not.
We can't move the fulcrum.
It's not about Trump.
It's
not about Obama.
Right.
It is about that $8 trillion that we're fighting over.
This is an institutional establishment problem, if you really think about it. Just one final note, because you'd understand this, fellow Italian, fellow New Yorker.
I got back to New York. See?
Yeah, he's done it. He's done it. He clicked his Ferragamo loafers together, and boom, he's here. Just going out of this, you ready? In New York State, we had the OTB, the off-track betting, where you can go in, watch the races on TV and bet on it, right? The government, New York State, took it over. Within 2 years, it was bankrupt.
Yeah.
The mob's been running horse racing stuff for 100 years at profitability. The government took it over, literally closed down the betting operations. It's a good example. You know what I mean? This is a fail-safe.
Milton Friedman used to say, if government was in charge of the Sahara, it'd run out of sand.
Well, sand is flying through the hourglass right here as we breeze through hour one. Coming up next is David Schwartz. He's a project director with the Litecoin Foundation. We're going to get into the new economy, the cryptocurrency. We're going to be talking about what's going on at the big Litecoin Foundation convention coming up next week in Vegas. Hopefully I'm going to be there with my good friend Drew Taylor from the Wild West Crypto Show. You're watching Liquid Lunch. Quick break. Back at you after this.